Then I joined the White Citizens Council alone. They hate foreigners, and dissolved that in 1 month. Then in New York City, I said, what are some of the most backward people in the area? The consensus were the Arabs. I said, what makes you think they're backward? They still believe the earth is flat. So I said, boy, I better get in there and try to turn them around. And if I can't turn them around, I can't change society. Not a theory on paper, a nice little utopia where everything works well. That's BS, bad science. So I'm saying to you that I called up the Arabs and I said, can I meet with you? I called up the head of the Arab group. There's always a head of the Ku Klux Klan. I called him up and I said, I'd like to speak with you. He said in his accent, you are Arab? I said, I'm not an Arab, but I speak a little bit of many languages. So he said, from where your father he born? And that means, where was your father born? So I says, in Lebanon. He said, very good, come and saw me, means come and see me. So I came to see him, and he said, you believe the world he round? I said, yes. He went, that means it can't be, in his terms. Then he pointed to his head, to show me. He held up his hand like this. He said, if the world he round, all the water fall me down here. All the people, they fall me down. I thought he was doing a good job for a non-educated man.
What year was this, Jacque?
This is about 45 years ago, 50 years ago.
Wow.
So I said to him, I said, I've got to change him, because that's important. So I gave him a rubber balloon, which I brought with me, and I rubbed it with fur, and I put cornflakes in his hand, and told him to hold his hand 10 inches away, or this far away from the balloon. And if you rub it with fur fast, all the cornflakes jumped up, and his jaw hit the pavement. And he said, world he magnet? I said, yeah. Ah. And he went and explained that to all the other Arabs. It took an hour and a half, I turned them around. So I found out how people think, where they get their ideas from, and approach them on their level, not mine.
So, Jacque,
yes.
I'm sorry, I'm going to keep pushing this point until I get an answer.
I want you to.
Good, because you did ask me before we started to push you on points that are important, and I think this is a really important point. So, let's imagine for a second that you make your film and everybody goes on the website, everybody loves what your ideas are, and they all say, we want this, we want this Venus project to be the reality.
To support it.
Yeah. So there they are, happy for it to happen. Is it you that makes the decision? What happens next?
I wrote a proposal for a new type of society, criticizing and showing possible alternatives, such as, you've got signs on the road, drive carefully, slippery when wet. We put abrasive in the highway so it's not slippery when wet. We show them those alternatives.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you keep coming up with great ideas for things.
Yes.
But you're avoiding the issue. Who makes the decisions in this
world? We put out the proposals. If they agree with that and support it economically.
People have a vote. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Does everyone have a button in their living room? Yes or no? It comes on the television. We want to do this. We want to build a farm here, or we want to build a block of flats here. Yes or no? Is that it?
No.
No, that's not it.
Not at all.
So how is it? How do I, if I'm a citizen of this planet, how do I affect my life?
We already worked that out. That doesn't have to be done anymore. We put the proposal up before people, and they say go. That means they have to support it economically during the transition.
Look,
we have to build...
There are a lot of people today talking about a better world in flowery terms and say that we need a change, we can't go on with what we're doing, we're going to pollute the earth, we're going to kill ourselves with bombs, but they don't pose anything. Nobody says, how do you get out of this? They're just beginning to ask those questions and say, we need to do something else. Jacque has asked these questions in 1929 when he saw the first the large depression. And it is then when he started to look around and say, this does not work. There are things in store windows, there are technical people, there are farms, there are people that want to do things and make things, but people are thrown out of their houses because the world is still the same place, but they don't have any money in their pockets. It's the rules of the game that we play by that are screwed up. So he proceeded, when he was a young man, to devise another system that would work for the benefit of all, that would house people, that would clothe people, that would make them creative. That this today is an established society. Many, many years ago, many people became comfortable and then tried to freeze things and keep them as it is. The society that we are proposing is an emergent society. It's not fixed, it's not frozen. Jacque laid out a direction to work towards in city planning, in transportation, and across the board, where nobody else was working on that. And it's not a fixed society, it's an emergent society where things are growing. That's why he doesn't like it to be called a utopia, because that's like, we've made a final society and this is it, and you can't go any further. His society, can you imagine turning science and technology and all scientists and say, how do we build a better society? How do we eliminate accidents? How do we make clean sources of energy? How do we turn science and technology over to make things better for people? That's not what we're about today.
Okay, well, these are all good things. Let me read a few texts out. Brenda in Hull says, it will be a form of communism. You will never get away from someone who wants to dictate.
It's because he knows nothing about this system.
Okay, Rob Keane in Wigan says, Jacque, just say that you will make the decisions. I would be happy for you to do that. Aidan Doherty says, as long as there is power, evil people will want it. How do you stop them?
Okay. The Vienna Triac has a proposal for government operations in which there are no people in government.
Oh, here we're getting to it now.
They didn't know that.
Okay, no people in government. So who makes the decisions?
I'm going to show you.
Good.
Okay, so we have a computer with electrical tentacles into the soil. If the water table drops, that pumps water out there. If the nutrients change, that machine pumps nutrients out there. 9 months ago, a computer was developed that can handle 1,000 trillion bits of information per second. No group of humans can do that. So we move humans out because the future world is so highly technical, no human being is capable of handling trillions of bits of information input per second. Only computers can do that. So man is being put out. If you don't understand me, go to your supermarkets, you'll see new checkout machines where you pitch a card through and they're moving people out.
Jacque, I'm sorry, we're going to go for another break now. Be back here soon. Once again, if you'd like to text in your questions or comments for Jacque Fresco and Roxanne Meadows, please do so now. See you back here very soon. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guests, Jacque Fresco and Roxanne Meadows. Right, Jacque, just before the break here, you were saying, and I think I've understood this correctly, you were saying that computers will make the decisions.
Well, what we call cybernetics. Computers operate machines. If you go to an automobile company today, you'll see robots putting the wheels on and everything. The people are being moved out. Do you understand that?
Yeah, but I don't want the robots telling me what wheels I want.
The robots telling you what?
What wheels I want.
The robots can measure things better than you can.
Yeah, of course they can. But if we hand our power to a bunch of robots, come on, that's a dystopia, not a utopia.
You've seen a lot of lousy movies, like
Exactly.
1984, Brave New World, Atlas Shrugged. It's written by Hollywood hacks, and they don't know how machines work, so the robots choke the designers. That's Hollywood, not reality.
But I don't think, well, I'm not ready to have a robot make my decisions for me, and I don't think,
we'll check that out. Let's check it out.
Okay.
All right. You don't turn a generator to keep your lights going, do you?
No.
You assign it to robots because they can do a better job than you can. Now, in the early days, a pilot used to look out of an airplane, say, about a mile high. Today, the Army took that decision away from pilots, and they have Doppler radar, which hits the ground, bounces back, and says you're 5,300 feet, 3 inches off the ground. No human can do that.
No, the Eurofighter, for instance, can't be flown by a human being. It has to be flown by computers. It's
it
so
will
unstable.
be in the next 10 years.
Well, that's the case now. They've got people in them.
The
pilots.
Army is flying planes automatically.
But the pilot still has the last word, doesn't he? The pilot says,
No,
we're going that way, we're going up, we're going down.
No, the mission is the last word. In other words, they have guided missiles, and the guided missiles are set to hit a given target, and they are smart enough to sense metals and everything else, or go up the rear end of an airplane.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be steered by people anymore.
So what
All
if
you
the
do is
computers
release
decide that there are too many people on the planet?
Oh, wait, what's your question? What do you do with overpopulation?
No, that's not the question. The question is, what if the computers decide that there are too many people and the food supply won't feed those people?
I want to answer
so
that.
would they say, oh, let's kill a few?
I will answer that. Computers do not do that. Computers and scientific machines are really extensions of human attributes, but they have no feelings. Machines don't care if you destroy a laptop in front of 40. They're going to say, we're going to get you this month, but next month for sure. They don't care. Don't you understand that?
Are you saying
that's a human projection?
Jacque, are you saying then that computer programmers will rule the world?
No, not at all. They're under the guidance of the Venus Project if they agree. If they don't agree, they won't support it. If you have a cavalry in Poland, like in Poland they believed the cavalry was the most important thing. And the Germans believed war tanks were. And they slaughtered the hell out of the Poles because they couldn't get past that point. If the American and English people and French people don't realize what I'm talking about, they'll be blown to smithereens by their own stupidity. We are lousing up the air and the oceans, and that we know that politicians don't know what to do. Because I've asked them. I've asked every politician that I've grown up with, and so, what do you do about this? How would you stop cars from hitting each other? How would you stop buildings from burning? I don't know. I don't know. They don't know what to do. They're businessmen.
Okay,
or lawyers.
Let me read a couple of texts here. Paul in Warrington says, wouldn't a new society need a leader, or do we lead ourselves?
No leaders.
And what if a person went against the grain? Who makes law?
Okay. We feel that people go against the grain because they've been damaged by society. In other words, if you have two children, I'm a great believer in environment shapes values. I believe that the dialect you speak, your facial expressions, you learn. Women move a certain way. Oh, did I see a gorgeous hat? And if a guy is brought up by women only, they'll move just like that. If you're raised in Italy, you say, come on, they eat. It's a good food. Is that an imitation? No, that's the product effect that environment has upon people.
This is nature v nurture, isn't it? The old argument.
Yes. Now,
like
nurture,
in Othello.
They think that human nature is a certain way, most people, because they're brought up that way. Actually, there's no such thing as free choice. If you ask an Eskimo, what do you want? You can have anything you want. He doesn't say a stainless steel refrigerator. He can't say that. So if you ask an impoverished person, what would